I think that we have had a year where at least we have tried to move this agenda forward as far as government is concerned, on grid access, on planning, on the EIB, on renewables obligation banding, because I think we recognise the need to push this agenda forward, and we recognise the urgency. And I think nobody should be under any illusions about the scale of the challenge that still faces us to increase sixfold the amount of renewable energy in this country. And I was talking to the new chair of our Office of Renewable Energy, Bernie Balkin, who will be familiar to many of you, and he was remarking to me both the scale of the challenge, the need for a clear plan of delivery, and so we will take very seriously the need not just to rest on our laurels in terms of what's happened over the last year, but to push forward and to do more. And that's the second point I really want to make. We are conscious that the urgency remains, and so whether it's the work we're doing looking at the pathways to 2050 in terms of renewable energy and low carbon energy, well, we'll be producing a document at the time of the budget that looks at the pathways that we need and the policy instruments that we need in place. The work we're doing on skills that David Kidney is leading on, the skills in terms of the supply chain that are going to be required. The Marine Action Plan, which I know some of you in the room will be interested in, and which I hope you'll be talking to my colleague Phil Hunt about. We think there's an enormous amount still to do to make this potential revolution come true. And I think that's very important, and we're certainly not going to take our foot off the accelerator. We are going to power forward as a department. The third point I just want to make, and I think it's right to sort of recognise this, particularly given the sponsors of this evening's event, is to say that not everything has gone right this year, including what happened on the Isle of Wight. And I think that was a salutary lesson for all of us, but I think in particular it emphasises something very, very important, which I think is partly of the argument that we have to make to people, which is that this isn't just an environmental revolution that we're talking about, it's an economic revolution as well. And if we want the low carbon jobs, we need the low carbon generation. Now that is partly about government learning the lessons, because we know that Germany and Denmark and others were first movers in onshore wind, and we're trying to be the same in offshore wind. But I think it is also about an argument to the public about the fact that we need this renewable energy. And if we're thinking about battles still to be won and battles ahead, I don't think that argument is won. I don't think that the 10 or 15% of people who care passionately about climate change in this country have yet been joined by a large enough set of people who think that this is in our economic as well as our environmental interests. And in a sense, I suppose that's one of the things that I've learned in this job, and people have heard me say before maybe that a Labour Party member said to me when I was talking about the environmental dangers we face from climate change, that he said to me, Ed, Martin Luther King didn't say I have a nightmare, he said I have a dream. And I think emphasising the positive part of this agenda seems to me to be absolutely essential as we go forward.